Nah. Skip the intro. We going to overtime. This is the OT. We got some more to say. So we gonna come back. We got some more to say. Finish the show. This is the escape from white power. The overtime. Let's go, Mr. Nice Guy.
All right, so we want to talk about the James Comey incident. So we added that one late, so I don't have the particulars. But for all intents and purposes, I know that the Trump is going after him for I guess the Russia hoax and whatnot. And I got to say, I don't give a damn about what you go ahead and prosecute this fool, whatever. I don't care, because he was the one that did all that extra that muddied the waters. You got Trump elected with all that stuff.
That's why Hillary lost, because of him.
So you go ahead, you do what you need to do. This is the monster that you created. Live with it, brother. You got something to say about this Afro agnostics?
No, man, I echo your sentiments 100% on that.
This is the what they call it, the chickens coming home to roost. I'm 100% down with it. What you got to say about this?
I'm on Dami. Yeah.
Get him.
What'd you say?
He said, get him.
Get him. So that's the topic. We all want to talk about this, and that's all we had to say about it.
I mean, I think it's a waste of time and money. It's just, it's malicious, and it's not going to go anywhere. But, who cares? I mean, who really cares, But it's just a waste of fucking time.
I mean, I care because, the way, if you look at what the charges are, if this indeed, we know it was orchestrated, it was fake, and there was money and intel, and energy spent just to even create the hoax in the first place. And then, so whoever was behind that needs to be held accountable. You know what I mean? So we need to find them.
What hoax are you talking about? What hoax are you talking about?
You saying that Russia was a hoax?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole Russian hoax?
I thought they said the evidence was there.
Yeah,
didn't they say the evidence was there?
No, bro.
And didn't they admit to it? Didn't Russia admit to it?
No, it was. I think there was evidence of them in collaboration. There was evidence of Russian interference, but not necessarily in collaboration with Republicans.
That's enough, ain't it? Them interference.
No.
That's what it was. I mean, that's what it was all about. That's what they said it was. It was Russian interference. It wasn't like they hacked into anything or anything like that, but they did interfere with the election.
Well, but Trump
the interference came from within, right here in the United States.
They were going after Trump as well to see that if he knowingly participated. And what happened was they said, well, we don't necessarily have the good goods on him, even though there's some dirt there. We have the good goods on people surrounding him. And that's why a whole bunch of people actually did go to jail behind this. So, you sitting there saying it's a hoax. I mean, let us enlighten us, brother. You just gave some life to this topic.
I mean, when you're saying enlighten, I don't understand what the confusion is. Myself, is the Trump was being charged with, being collaborating with Russia, in order to win the election, and gain influence.
Or investigated. Charged or investigated.
And charged by the Democrats, and hence a whole, the what do you call it, the impeachment, 1 and 2 impeachment trials, that came about because of this.
I think the better word is accused.
Didn't Trump say, Russia, if y'all can get that hard drive, didn't he openly on air participate and collude with Russia?
I don't think he said hard drive. I think he said no. I think he specifically said get the emails.
Emails.
Not the hard drive. He's not gonna get the hard drive. Ain't nobody gonna get that hard. That hard drive is gone. We already know.
The hard drive gone. You know what I mean? But look, Russia has it. Look, Russia has it intel. It's been a lot of this information has been leaked and released. To the public. And so, like I said, there are those that are just more enlightened on the situation. And we can make it a whole topic. If you guys wanted to.
We're here to learn, student X. What do you mean when you say there are those who are more enlightened?
Yeah, well, I'm saying that again, Russia did have intel, on many of our officials, including Epstein and whatnot. And a lot of this information has been leaked from various sources, through the internet through the past few years. That's why you have such distinct camps between those that are real animate about dealing with this deep state, dealing with this, the various human trafficking in the various forms, and those that are thinking that, hey, this is just hype.
I think you asked the wrong question. I think the real question to Student X is, do you think Russia interfered? Do you think that Russia tried to manipulate?
No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You know who does interfere in elections is the United States government, abroad and right here at home. That's who does. So that's where the focus needs to be.
And
to look for election interference.
And every other government.
And the various entities.
Why is the United States the only one that these people are skeptical about, and you're just completely giving all these other governments a free pass that way more out, just
because
way more
the United States is supposed to be
I'm not giving them a free
extraordinary.
pass. They are the head. This country, this government, it's not a secret. What I mean? We've been a unilateral power.
I think it's absolutely, utterly ridiculous to assume that Russia does not involve itself, intervene in the politics of other countries. That's what empires do. Yes, the United States does it, and Russia does it too. And there was a congressional hearing. The findings of those hearings have not been disputed by Republicans or by Democrats. And the findings show that, yes, Russia did intervene. They did involve. They did. Mainly what they did was legal through propaganda, another type of psychological manipulation. And they were clearly pro-Trump because they know Trump don't know what the fuck he's doing. He's going to heighten divisions, and he's going to weaken the empire from within, just like the United States is supporting Ukraine. They don't give a fuck about Ukraine. Ukraine makes Russia weak. And that's that's the goal of that thing, is just to weaken Russia. So this is Russia doing the same thing to the United States. This is what empires do.
And I don't blame Russia. And I don't blame Russia for doing it. Russia's
but we're talking semantics, because what I'm talking about, is, if you look at a comparison to what America and its interests are doing in other countries, including Russia, and reportedly what Russia was doing via social media, promoting ideas, it's like comparing apples to oranges. It's not even on the same level. So I'm not going to allow those actions to rise up and be comparable to the same level of actions that we do, because when the United States does it, there's people being assassinated, killed, the whole nine yards, manipulated, people implanted, in other governments,
But the only thing, I'm saying, it's not doing that here. Yeah, Russia is not doing it here. The United States is not doing it in Russia. Those two respective superpowers, they don't do it.
United States has to do it in Russia.
Let me finish, please. They do it to lesser powers. And if you want to say who hit who first, of course the United States invaded Russia 2 times in 1917, and I think some other time after that. But in terms of espionage, in terms of assassinations, funding the opposition parties, they do that. And big powers don't necessarily.
That's the highest score we're talking about. Russia is not doing that here.
May I finish? They're not doing it here. The United States isn't doing it there either.
Yeah, what are you talking about? First of all, we just had a major drone strike operation that U.S. intelligence, as well as others, played a key role in, which was they admitted to where it was years in the planning, for just what happened just recently. The militia that came in, the so-called Muslims that went to escape.
We're talking about assassinations.
That's what I'm talking about. Too. But what do you think the drone strikes were? They attacked several military bases, installations, and then with the civilian theater that was attacked, by these militants, Islamic extremist militants that went escaping towards Ukraine and got captured by Russia and then interrogated, and then more of the plot was discovered. But what are you talking about? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, there's so much real information that's up out here, and if you're relying on mainstream media to deliver it to you, you can't possibly be informed. You know what I mean? In a way to where
they're doing it to both. I'm saying if they do it is under the cover of another political outfit. They still do that to each other. But I'm just saying that it's not going to be the same as a smaller country that doesn't have as much power. Russia is doing it to Ukraine as an example. We see clearly in 2014, they intervened in Ukrainian politics. And they've been
No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. You know,
and they've been invading Ukraine and taking over Ukraine since the 1800s.
Like I said, if Asada Shakur were alive right now, she would not be supporting Ukraine. You know, and it's the focus this is trying to accomplish.
But she would not be supporting. Next. He's not supporting Ukraine.
No, I'm saying his point of view. The point of view that he's expressing. This right here is so inaccurate. This is like corporate media 101, what you're promoting. You know what I mean? The very thing that you don't like and hate, that's what they're promoting. What you just said.
Student X, listen, Student X. What's more impactful on influencing American people? An assassination here or there, or bombarding them with social media?
I got a better question. Can we go on to the next subject, because we arguing over some white folks' business.
Well, still no.
This all affects us. Believe it or not,
we're gonna pivot. But my point is that you got to understand social media. The reason why people use propaganda, you can only shoot so many people, you can only kill so many people. But propaganda has a way bigger impact on a bigger masses. It's just like using religion to control people. So I'm just telling you, you can sit there and poo-poo. Oh, they just manipulated social media. That had a profound impact. But you know what? Let's go ahead and pivot. Let's talk about
I can respond to what you just said.
Well, let's. Well, you've already said what did you want to respond about?
Well, no,
first of all, it's the social media.
You asked me a question and then you wanted to segue. You know what I mean? You know, you get a chance to even respond to the question. And the answer to your question is not dependent on the level of assassination. Who was assassinated? Absolutely, that has a larger impact than social media relevance and trying to promote something like the American people are just brainless zombies and we can't decipher information.
What figures did the United States assassinate Russia?
You know what I mean? Some of us might be right better than others. I'm sorry?
You said
what political figure in Russia was assassinated by the United States?
Now, but when you say, I didn't say a political figure assassinated by the United States. The United States has propped up political leaders to run in the opposition to Putin inside of Russia. That's happened. Yeah, and what I cited was the drone attacks just recently, you know, that struck nuclear military assets, as well as other military targets and civilian infrastructure in Russia.
I think let's agree to disagree, but we know damn well that propaganda has way more effect on the peoples than just shaking up somebody. I'm just saying we can agree to disagree on that.
I mean, just a few minutes ago, let me just say, just a few minutes ago, we were worried about Cardi B's effect on Black culture.
Exactly.
But now all of a sudden, it's doesn't have an impact. We consider her more of a threat than Trump. That's crazy to me. But yeah.
So let's talk about the Charlie Kirk holiday. That was a great point. But the Charlie Kirk holiday and the coin. Now, Walk had brought up previously. He said that no Democrats voted for this or voted against this. So I actually pulled up an article that I was going to share with it before he.
That could have been a coin, was it?
No, that's not the coin.
I'm about to say, man.
Come on. That's a little disrespectful, but still, the 58 Democrats.
I don't think it's disrespectful.
That picture is different because he was being memed. Yeah, that picture is disrespectful because he was being memed. They were doing all these big hair things and stuff.
It looked like a garbage pail kid, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm just saying, at the bottom, no sense.
Yeah, ouch. Yeah, that's super disrespectful. I didn't even catch that. So again,
I think it's a good thing. Go ahead.
58 Democrats voted against it. So Walk says none, 58 did, and only I think maybe 93 Democrats voted whatever. You know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is, I remember Jasmine Crockett said that only 2 white Democrats voted against it. So it was a big issue. It was contentious. And I always say, people can't say that the person who does something 100% is the same as the person who does something 50% or 40% or 20% or 60% or 70%. It's a difference. It's a difference. So, that having been said, you got something to say about this Afro-agnostic?
Yeah. That's, again, and part of what the censorship is of late, they want to use his martyrdom to advance and enhance the censorship, around his death. They want us to mourn their heroes, but they don't mourn Assata Shakur. You know, they want us to make him a hero, but they don't make our heroes from their perspective. So it's two different, you know, totally two different perspectives. But I would anticipate or expect them to use his martyrdom to advance MAGA, to put him on the coin. And actually, he will probably be the less racist person on the currency. I mean, comparison to George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, but yeah, so it is consistent though with going back and making America great. It's consistent.
Student X.
I'm gonna quote Rahm Emanuel, Chief of Staff to President Barack Obama, who said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." And this is a situation where, you know, Charlie, you know, and Candace Owens has mentioned it multiple times, is there's a lot of leeches and people that are trying to attach themselves, you know, to him due to his popularity and due to, you know, the emotional response that, you know, he gets from people, you know, right now. They're trying to, you know, capitalize that, you know, and that this is what this is right here, you know, is nothing more than that, you know. Now, you know, is not. I don't think that it's, of all things that we could be doing and that could be done to honor, you know, Charlie Kirk. I think this is probably the one that has the least impact, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to see it, you know, and again, their emotional, you know, feelings on this subject will be manipulated. And so that's what I feel about this.
What you got to say about this, El Pooh?
I didn't really know anything about no damn Charlie Kirk. I know he might have had like 5 million subscribers or followers or whatever the case is, but this is a nation of 300 and some million people. So most people didn't even know who this man was. He's a martyr. They just taking advantage of it. And the more evidence I'm seeing about this shooting and killing, I'm not sure about that either. So I'm not really even sure. That's, you know, hey, I'm falling into some of these conspiracy theories right now.
It's easy to.
Can I just say really quick, the reason El Pooh, you don't know about him is because you're black. You know, most black people do not know about him because he's a white supremacist. He advances white interests, the interests of white supremacy. And most black people are not.
I'll tell you the truth. I ain't know much about David Duke either. And I feel the same way about this white boy.
I'm telling you, I honestly feel the same way. I'm just saying that, you know, as far as I know, David Duke wasn't talking about doing violent things. He's basically talking about the same type of stuff that Charlie Kirk was talking about. But David Duke was not widely accepted the way that Charlie Kirk is. I mean, widely accepted.
Organization he was a part of. That's what, you know, stunted David Group's. David.
Great point. Great point, student.
I think it's, but it was also remember that group was a very respectable group. They were invited to the White House several times. They had staged parades and things of that nature in the White House, in the square. There was very respectful.
Which group?
There's black people.
Which group?
The Ku Klux Klan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you hear that?
We're not talking about post 80, brother. You know what I mean?
They were hosted in the White House when they showed Birth of a Nation. That was, you know, that was supported largely by the Klan. Woodrow Wilson invited them in. The screen showing at the White House. That's how racist the United States is. It is only the civil rights and the Black Power movement that made people look at the Ku Klux Klan differently and made it a more shameful organization today. Just like people are ashamed to be racist today. But just 30, 40 years ago, it was a thing that people took pride in, white people.
Yeah, in the name of Charlie Kirk, you know, those were Jewish producers that produced that film, Birth of a Nation. You know, I want to remind people about that, who will later come to be the greatest friend to the Negro. Many of you would tell me, you know what I mean, based on the agents that represent, you know, are representing are the most largest income makers in the Black community, you know. So, you know,
I'm sorry. Can you reverse that a couple of sentences? I think you said the Jewish.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that, you know, the people behind the creation of the Birth of the Nation were Jewish producers. of that film, and like I said, the irony is that this would be some of the same people who will go on, to be a great friend, supposedly to the Negro based on the contracts, that we receive, through the years and all the lucrative, benefits that we receive from these associations.
Hold on. So next. Are you suggesting that all Jews are alike but not white people?
That's you saying that. What I'm saying is that the greatest hierarchy of white supremacy is Zionism. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. A hierarchy of white supremacy. You got white here, and then you got the Zionists. You know what I mean? Here, and those, that are on that level. They're up here. They're above that. And that's why.
Did you catch his point? Did you catch his point about Eyes on the Prize, who produced that as well?
Jews.
So the very show that you actually quoted earlier when you were talking about Sada Shakur.
I just said I just talked about the secret relationship. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, close ties between both. Is as if there's like an entity that's playing both sides of the equation. At the end of the day, and to say that I'm grouping all Jews inside the same boat, now please, but there has been, and everyone understands that there is an influence over America that is negatively impacting this country, and a large part of it has to do with those Zionistic entities that exist, such as AIPAC, and these organizations that has paid our lawmakers, to pass these legislations and put the focus and their existence at a higher emphasis than that of the American people. And for black people,
Trump is Zionist.
To break this relationship is going to be central in order for you to get anything.
Well, I
Trump
just want to say,
sell out. Come on, bro. He'll sell you and anybody else out.
Who is it, Trump?
I'm gonna let Afro agnostic.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Go ahead.
I think we should dedicate a whole show to this because I detect that as anti-Semitism. I'm totally against white supremacy, and I look at Jews as junior partners in white supremacy. Interesting, a lot of conservatives look at
junior, and I'm saying that they're the architect.
I know.
Talking about
you were very clear about that. I disagree with that too. They don't have the power.
So we need to do a show on this. We can do the deconstruction. I look at them as junior partners. I look at the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant at the apex of white supremacy. You look at the Jewish people as the architect. So that's something that's a contrasting perspective.
I look at
Hitler was way bigger than the Jewish people.
I'm just pointing out the contrast so that we both can't be right on that position. So I think that would be a good show.
A good objective. And we want to clarify that I don't think nobody's here saying that all Jews are all white people. We're just saying that the source, the grouping that has. Go ahead. I know.
I'm talking about where my sentiment is anti-Israel. That's where I land at. You know what I mean? Just to make it plain. And so you can't separate, especially in those early times when we were talking about the birth of the nation, that's how this came up, is the producers of that film, who created that, promoted it, throughout the world, were of that ilk. You can't separate that. Those who love Israel, that had that connection to Israel, that was behind,
Still next.
What we would call Zionism today.
Still next. I got a question for you. Who is a greater friend and ally to Israel, the right or the left?
The right, all day. But that's if you're looking at it from voters, if you look at it from our politicians,
that's all I look at it. You answered my question, brother.
No, they're equal. No, it's not equal. The politicians, those that the people elect to represent
the United States. Hold on. The white supremacy precedes Zionism, or Zionism precedes white supremacy.
You asked me what came first, the chicken or the egg?
No, I'm saying in the United States.
Oh yeah. He is asking that. Which came first?
Yeah.
White supremacy or Zionism?
Who solved that riddle? You know what I mean? As far as I could look back, is that there was a collaboration that came together, between, entities and people, that then created a system and institution that ultimately led to, our ancestors being imprisoned in this land, held captives, treated as child, and then as well as other injustices throughout the world.
So you don't believe that Zionism started in the 19th century? It's a political movement that was started by Theodore Herzl in the late 19th century?
Yeah, that's what you would call Zionism for sure, because now we're talking about the establishment of a state of Israel, so you need that to be a requirement of Zionism. And that's why when I said earlier that I was saying the foundation today, what we would call Zionism, those same individuals then, were responsible for making the film that you were referencing in The Birth of the Nation.
We can talk about the film, but I'm saying white supremacy in the United States comes before Zionism, which you admitted started in the late 19th century with Theodore Herzl.
When you say white, because before white supremacy was birthed beyond these shores before it was actualized here. This wasn't like an accident. There was an expedition and a mission, when they came here. So white, did that perceive? Remember when they used to teach us that white people were looking for the land of milk and honey? The last place they found, sad white people, of the world was America. Over here, the North America, over here, South America, this was the last place they found.
Let me ask you this, though. This is just a question for you and everyone else, because I'm getting into your analysis and why you take that position and perspective. Who actually financed those ships to bring settlers over? Who was behind because it took 2 or 3 years to make those ships, and they brought over, hundreds of people at a time. Who financed that?
So, like I said, so it is a collective of entities. You had the Queen of Spain, that played a large role, in the creation of these Spanish, hence the Spanish names, and
the colonies that became.
But what you had to look back to was who were the ship makers and the ship builders of that time. And when you start, again, a better understanding of that, then you'll answer your own question.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I'm on down,
do you know who the shipbuilders were?
Yeah, I would be fine.
Do you know who the shipbuilders were?
Yeah, I have a whole presentation that I could bring out if we want.
No. I'm saying there's specific entities that built the ship. You don't know who they are or were?
When you said specific entities, that built the ship, there were groups of people. I would look at my notes. And then I would tell you exactly,
Go ahead, answer the question, Afro-agnostic. Who is that?
You got it. Spit it up.
These were corporations. Over 90% of the ships were built by corporations in Manchester and in London. And they built these ships with specific purpose. They wanted to come over to expropriate the land and grow exports that they can send over to London and Manchester to build up their industry. That was the whole goal, the resources behind the settlers coming here. It wasn't necessarily white supremacy. It was the land, to take the land and grow exports to send to Manchester.
What greater example of supremacy of anybody exists than to go and take someone's land?
Oh, we agree. We're not.
I agree with that. I'm saying,
he's laying the argument that it precedes Zionism. That's what he.
Yeah, that wasn't Jews. That was white.
Like I said, so Zionism. I agree that came later when you're talking about the creation of the state of Israel. You know what I mean? But you always had these financiers that have been around, and these various entities that have been around that have been tied to what we would call Zionism today. It's a group of people. It's not, all one group, that exists. Is a group, conglomerate of individuals.
We're speaking specifically about the English settlers. The chief financiers of the English settlers were English, Anglo-Saxon financiers in in Manchester and London. That was the primary financiers of those efforts, of those ships and those settlements. They were in debt to those companies. They had to come over here to pay those companies back. because the company supplied them with the travel over, with the subsistence to get them started. They supplied them with a small guard force and everything.
You're not talking about Christopher Columbus.
I'm not talking about Christopher. I'm talking about the English settlement.
Yeah, you're talking about later. I'm
talking about
down
Massachusetts.
you know what I mean? The initial.
I'm talking about the United States.
When white people found out that this existed, because they didn't know. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about when they found it out.
Colonization of North America by the English.
Yeah, and you can't have that until they identified that it was here, and that's what happened underneath Christopher Columbus, and then there's even one before that
was financed by the government. This was financed by corporations. The settlers in Massachusetts and Virginia in 1609, and the settlers in 1620, the Mayflower and all of that. That was established by corporations.
Yeah. Tomato. Different countries and entities have different formulations. You know how they get down. You know, much like how you see China. It has a government, but they run the whole financial sector.
My point is that this was white Anglo-Saxon. This was English. This was English.
Yeah, I know.
I think we've established
Zionism comes down later. That's not part of what white.
We're repeating ourselves. I already established that Zionism itself, yes, that doesn't come about until later. To when now there is a group of European people who are saying that under religious context that they want this land over here. You know, I understand on that part. Yeah.
Well, when did white supremacy start then? That's the whole point, I guess.
Right. What I'm saying is that it's a construct. That's my whole point. I don't think it exists at all. It's not about white supremacy. It's about people in power and people that don't have power. That's what, because when people grow up, that's when they find out. Because before white people ever had any jurisdiction over us, they had jurisdiction over other white people, and guess how they were treated? Just as bad, if not worse. If you look at the ancient torture devices they had for their own people and practices that they had, they'll go to the prisons of a larger town, grab a prisoner, bring it to their town.
Did you say that? Did you say that? Did you
say just as bad as worse?
Yeah, I'm saying the construct that we argue over, when you break it down to its nuts and bolts, it all breaks down not to Jews and blacks and whites. You know, it breaks down to people in power and those who are not in power. You know, that's what it breaks down to.
It does. But check this out. Check this out. It does, because when you have people that they're all basically the same, whatever the same means, you'll find them oppressing one another. But what you found out is that when certain groups got in a sense of power, they started saying, "Well, they not like us, so we gonna basically, and we gonna get benefits that we not gonna give to those people." So that is effectively supremacy,
and that's what we call racism. That's what we call racism.
But I'm talking about once you institutionalize it, it becomes bigger than just. I'm just saying there are people in power that sit there and go, "Hey, I don't trust the black pilot. I see a black pilot, and I think that he probably doesn't deserve to be there. So, you know, we should be making sure that we got white pilots."
And that's nothing. Who cares? Who cares about that? That part doesn't matter unless they're in power and they can impact us in some sort of way, like deny us a job, deny us entry onto that airplane so we could go about our business. Hey, then it becomes something.
Spoiler alert: they're in power. But go ahead. What you about to say?
I was going to say those companies from Manchester and London, they made pamphlets to influence the settlers. Like, come over. There's free land over here for the taking. You know, we'll finance you. You can finally be rich. You can have your own. You can have your.
They acted like you wasn't nobody over here.
Yeah. So this was actual propaganda.
That's white supremacy. When you can tell, come on over.
Yeah, that was
spread by white people to other white people.
This is being produced to make it look like there was a vacant sign, but this was being produced by white Anglo-Saxons, by
white Anglo-Saxons
that were doing this and feeding this
propaganda by white people for white people, because they was white people, and the other people that was here, it was like they didn't.
And the Jews we talk about today, they are white people. That's the whole thing. They're Europeans.
I haven't even been able to talk two or three sentences, man. But I'm saying this is the breeding ground. United States was the breeding ground for white supremacy, because before white supremacy, everyone came up. I'm English. I'm French. You know, even the Irish, there was a distinction. the solidarity was that, hey, free land and labor. All we have to do is stick together. We're all European. If we stick together, we can have the land and the labor. And that is the basis of the white supremacy. So I don't know why we attribute this so much to Jews. This is where I find a lot of conservatives to show their anti-Semitism. I'm 100% against Jewish paternalism. Jewish people have, as junior partners in white supremacy, they have really taken over. They've always intervened in our affairs as Black people, in our organizations, in all of our institutions, and all of that, in our press. I'm totally against that paternalism, but I look at it as a form of white supremacy. I don't look at it. I'm anti-Zionist too, but I know that the Jews are just junior partners because they suffered from racism, even in the United States themselves, and of course we know in Europe.
That's what's up. And for the record, Mr. Nice Guy is not an anti-Zionist. So, you know.
Yeah, and for the record, I am anti-Zionist, but not anti-Zionist.
You said I am anti-Zionism?
I am anti-Zionist. I'm not anti-Jewish.
And I'm saying that I'm not anti-Zionist.
Or anti-Semite and all those other type of labels that people want to throw on there and all that type of good stuff. I like Charlie, because that's what this topic was about. I am a person that sees that, you know, the what we're doing for the state of Israel is not in America's best interest, you know, and that we need to turn not only that support that we're dealing with, we're giving them, you know, for a number of reasons. We need to pull a lot of that back, you know, for again a number of reasons, you know, and we need to reapply it, you know, to our people right here in America, which includes the so-called Black man and woman.
Well, I would say that that would be very un-American, and I support it because part of America is supporting empires. I mean, starting with the Northwest Territory, they claimed that when the United States was formed in 1783, they said that land that became Michigan, Illinois, that's our land too, and we're going to consummate that land. And as soon as we get a white majority, we're going to carve it up and make it states, and then make it form into the federal government and have this jurisdiction. So, I mean. It's people act like the tail wags the dog. No, the dog wags the tail. Israel is United States is a surrogate mother of Israel. It's not the other way around. It's not AIPAC with all this power and influence in the United States. No, the United States, and they use Israel. They need Israel as an empire to control the affairs in the Middle East.
You know, and they formalized it in the song. This land is my land. So yeah, but are we done here? You guys still want to talk about it? Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? One thing that we didn't talk about. Let's briefly talk about that statue. I personally thought it was hilarious. You know what I'm saying? They went through the legal channels and they put it up. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, to me, I mean, the faces obviously weren't done the best, whatever. But the sentiment of it was hilarious because there is a theme that look, you know, they keep running from it. They were the ones champion about it. So now everybody wants to be silent. And their retort goes, you guys didn't care about it then. Now you care about it. Well, the reality is a lot of people care about it. Just come out, just release it. What's the problem is? And they did just release some things. And I have an article on it. And some of the names were what's the dude, Bannon, and you know, some other people that were on the charter. Now that doesn't mean just because you chartered this plane that you did some nefarious.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, Elon Musk. Yeah, he was sitting there talking about Trump was on the list, and he's sitting there. So there was some irony there, but yeah. And you put some respect on the president of the United States, but yeah, so anyway, so that's what's up.
He was on there.
And I don't
make no mistake. This statue was a form of protest, and is to continue the pressure. And I thought it was hilarious. I think it was a great, demonstration of street theater. I mean, that's what you do. And then also on the other side, there's a couple of new Congress people coming in who are going to sign that petition. I know one Democratic. I know that a part of the problem when they voted initially the petition is that a lot of Democrats are vacant, because they old as hell. And a lot of baby boomers, man, my fortunate situation today, are passing away, and but going to be replaced by some others who are definitely going to sign a petition. So that's going to definitely happen. What happens after that when the House passes the petition, we don't know. But yeah.
And I want to clarify. I said that I'm not anti-Zionist, but I am anti all the bad things that come with Zionism. Like I don't have I'm not blanket against Zionism, but definitely all the wicked and terrible things that comes out of it. Basically, I'm anti-wicked and terrible, no matter what umbrella it falls under. So that's what's up.
But you're more of a religious Zionist, right? You're not a political Zionist.
Yeah, I'm not a political Zionist. I'm a religious.
That's what's implied by Zionism is a political movement specifically.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't give a damn. So I just want to make that clear. So
duly noted, my brother. And that having been said, I think we have fully discussed all the things that we kind of wanted to speak on.
I just want to touch really quick because I asked student X about the hierarchy, the family hierarchy. He said the man was at the top. And then when I asked him why, he said because the man because of his intellectual capacity, or what did you say? Elaborate on that.
No, we actually had got we actually got cut off because we had we were transitioning, to the other to this new link and whatnot.
No, don't call it cut off.
We hear now. You said that there's a hierarchy in the household, and that the man is at the top. And I asked you, why is the man at the top? And what did you say? He has his intellect, right, or something like that.
Yeah, no. So when you're talking about if you look at just historical and cultural traditions alone, that's what it's been about mainly because of the strength of a man, and the level of protection that a man provides over his household, so in a society like what we have today, and being like a first world country, then that's less of a concern for people, so they don't put that as a higher priority on that. So that's one reason, but I would say, that also in the past, it was also the man who was responsible, for being the breadwinner in particular. So in those type of situations, and then of course the mothers, were taking care of the children at that time, so the man of course is out there in the world moving about and whatnot. So absolutely he's going to have, a more, a higher authority over, the protection of his family, and ultimately the buck's going to start with him. I believe that when you have a household, it should be set up more corporate style, business style. You can't have, all this, you can't have like this, ultimately to have someone who with a
But you didn't say intelligent. But you didn't say intelligent, right? You didn't say intelligent, right?
Yeah, I would say where the most intelligent lies in that family in particular,
so what if the woman's the more intelligent? What if the woman's the more intelligent in the family?
Yeah, then that's great. Then you have two intelligent people. You know what I mean? You're gonna get.
I'm just saying. Sure. Well, no, I get that. I'm just saying that she should be the head.
The head, the top of the hierarchy. You said now you went from intelligence to muscle mass. So the man should be in charge of the household because he has greater muscle mass.
Yeah, no.
I
gave a historical context in terms of how and why. Now, if your argument is why today, a man should be held at the top of the household, you know what I mean? I would say it would depend on who the man is.
Next, let me ask this man a question. Afro, why shouldn't the man be at the head? What do you ask? I mean, why wouldn't the man be at the head? I mean, what the hell? I mean, what?
So he said that in the household there's a hierarchy.
I understand that. We Our question.
Why wouldn't the man be at the top? I mean, the man.
That's
Listen.
The question to you. We don't care about.
Father gets the big piece of the chicken. He's at the head. I'm just saying.
Why should that be, Afro-agnostic? That's the question. Why should or shouldn't that be?
Why shouldn't?
Why
shouldn't it be?
Why shouldn't that be?
Hold on. Let's listen. Let's listen for the answer.
There's no justification when I've heard just listening to student X. He went from they have a greater intellectual capacity, which is not supported by evidence. Then
that's not what I said. I didn't say man.
So he just said he did this. He just said he didn't say it. So we got to dead that. We got to accept it.
Okay, so let's dead that. Then he went to muscle mass. So I'm asking what justifies a man to be in charge.
Yeah, okay, that should be enough. Protection should be enough. If the woman's more intelligent, if she's making the money and he's still protecting the household, he's still holding it down. Yeah, I think that's enough right there.
So muscle mass means that
situation.
So muscle mass means that I should have decision-making power over my partner just because I have more muscles.
But I mean, so look, my argument wasn't even that's to the family. One's family to decide that. You know what I mean? In terms of how things are structured in one's house. You know what I mean? Let me say that. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to talk about how they should run their house.
I think you were tying it into some natural structure. That's what you seem to suggest, like some hierarchy, like there's a natural order and structure now.
He said traditionally, culturally, that's how it's been for a long time.
Well, no, we can go about the tradition that's a fallacy. The fallacy of tradition, just because they did this in the past doesn't mean we should.
That's a whole nother argument. That's a whole nother argument.
The whole thing is past. From generation to generation from the beginning of time. Something wrong with us from the beginning.
I'm saying we know that slavery was once legal. No one had an issue with slavery for most of human history. So just because they did that in the past, that's traditional human society.
That was going to be my argument. That was going to be my argument when he was talking about, how the household, it's been done that way. I said white supremacists could use that same argument about, the reason we've been dominating this stuff for so long. We culturally, traditionally have been the dominant people, so we should be the dominant people. We've dominated the world.
That'll be a fallacy in people knowing their history, because if you understand history, you understand we haven't been in this situation not that long as far as our existence.
No, I'm saying
we're the ones that brought technology and everything to them. You know what I'm saying? Taught them how to wipe their own asses and everything. You know what I'm saying? So
women are not children, and both you have two adults in the house. There's no reason. That's patriarchal. Let me finish, please. That's patriarchal thinking that there has to be this hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? Like there can't be sharing of power, sharing of decision making. There's have to be a hierarchy.
You're talking semantics.
You said it couldn't be that. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
You're talking to semantics. The system I'm talking about in terms of you have a man that's in charge of the household. That doesn't mean that that what his wife says has no type of sway, if you will.
What does hierarchy mean? What does hierarchy mean?
Household.
What does hierarchy mean?
I think I can tie this up a little bit. The reason why I would say that you've ever heard of the concept of too many chefs in the kitchen?
Absolutely.
So when you talk about, I think that a person can have influence and dominant from a senior position. For example, let's take it to Star Trek. We have Captain Kirk and we have Mr. Spock. Now I think we'll all agree that Mr. Spock is way more intelligent and rational than Captain Kirk. But Captain Kirk has way more instinct and leadership qualities than Mr. Spock. So there's some usefulness
and more charismatic as well.
So when people talk about the hierarchy, who's in control, it's not necessarily a function of just dominating, controlling this person or something like that. You can sort of like defer, but even still have exercised power in deferring. So I get what you're saying, Mr. Afro-Agnostics, but I do understand that the corporations, when you have 50-50 doesn't work. At some point, a person is going to have to make a decision that they don't necessarily agree with. And if someone doesn't have a swaying point, if someone's not, 51-49, you know what I'm saying? There's something to be said about, okay, when a decision has to make, who has the power? There's a reason why there's only one president and there ain't like 2 or 3 presidents. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you have a head of a corporation that's got to be able, someone's got to be able to make a decision. So I understand what you're saying. You say, well, why would that have to be the man? We understand that most of it, because we grew up in a patriarchal society.
Whoever can be the Dr. Spock or the Captain Kirk at that moment for that decision. But there's no reason to come into a situation where we have to be a hierarchy. Power should be shared. That's the problem. When you don't share power, you disempower people. That's called oppression. And that's the problem. That's the
do you share? Afro-Agnostics, do you share power with children?
No. Children are understood to be temporarily slaves. That's what they are. But it's because it's temporary. It's kind of okay until you reach adulthood. because you're responsible for what your kids do. So you can be, liable legally. So
they're not slaves under the jurisdiction of, I mean, instead,
I'm saying functionally.
But I will say this: I'm not saying that this was Pooh's argument, but I will say there's something to be said about you know how they were talking about, like, okay, the Black Panther. I apologize to keep going to sci-fi and stuff like that, but they figure out who's basically going to be the Black Panthers. They have a fight, and the person who wins the fight wins. We know that in the animal kingdom, there's a lot of times that certain these power structures are determined by physical and might and stuff like that. So, and I know
we're trying to get away from that.
That's true. That's true. We don't have to reduce ourselves to animals. We should be better than that. And honestly, I think the person who's best, all these individual circumstances are individual circumstances. The person who is best suited to make these decisions, the person who's best suited to be the defender, these are the things that their roles they should be. Because you can have a situation where, you got Clarissa Shields is the wife, and the husband is what's the dude, the real smart dude that was in the wheelchair? You know what I'm saying? Hawkins, Stephen Hawkins. You know what I'm saying? Where the physical power structure is just going to be completely different. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. I get what you're saying. And you guys also got to accept that some of us, whether they admit it or not, we come out of a sort of like a religious background where it's determined that this is the head of the household. So that's the reason why some people do that. And it's not necessarily a rational or logical position. It's just a cultural, religious position. So, and for the don't accept the religion that are still using cultural, it's the same dynamic. It's the same.
I don't know all y'all, brother. And I never, actually, I can't say, but if I had to go do some work, some real work, I don't know, y'all. I would definitely take Asada Shakur in her prime over most of the typical men. I mean, she took that, in that arrest on the turnpike, she took 2 bullets. Prior to that, she took a bullet in the stomach. She was committed all the way.
There's some sisters out there.
It only takes 3 pounds of pressure to pull that trigger. That's all I keep saying. I'm saying? This whole thing, you got to have muscles to protect. That's kind of antiquated. And when do you actually ever use it and utilize that? It doesn't justify me being in charge just because my muscle mass. That makes no sense. And then a lot of times when people are married for long lengths of time, many times the women are younger, 15, 20 years younger. You're 7 years old. She's 50. She can beat your ass. She's protecting you. You think you can protect her, but you can't do that anymore. So these things don't even apply. There's no reason to go in. That's patriarchy, to go in a situation thinking in hierarchical terms.
It shouldn't be arbitrarily just based on sex. That's the argument that you're making, and I think it's a feasible
I have dick and balls. That's basically what it is. I have dick and balls. So I should be in charge.
I think the trigger was when I had said that we were talking about earlier, and and I brought up talking about the benefits of a patriarchal system, and I was talking about and number one, having a clear hierarchy and decision maker. I think that's what the trigger was here. Going back in hindsight, trying to see what was going on. I stand by that. Then nothing's changed. That is having that system in place, is a key and fundamental. And however you want to do it as an individual, hey, go ahead and do whatever you need to do. But other men is gonna look at you real silly when you got a stepdaughter in your goddamn house. Running around, you got no control up in that damn thing. You know what I'm saying? Straight up.
He brought it back to the subject.
Yeah. We're not gonna look at you as manly and part of the patriarch. I tell you that goddamn much.
Hey,
I just want to address what I was talking about real quick.
Before you do that, I just want to say I don't understand why he recorded multiple incidents. All I need was one incident to address it. But go ahead, Mr. Floyd X. Go ahead and say what you're about to say.
Brother Afro, listen. When you talk about why the man should be in charge and how he shouldn't, because that's the old way of thinking. Listen, you put your strongest up against any other family's strongest. And when it comes to who's the strongest, 90% of the time it's the man who is the strongest. That's the champion of the house. He's the champion.
Hold on.
So what happens in the 10%?
Again, what does that have to do So I'm a man. I'm strong. What does that have to do with making decisions?
As a man,
I'm just giving an example. Everyday household decisions. Who's going to pay the bill? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do it?
Something else.
I'm in charge.
I'm talking about households. No, the male should be muscularly strong and physically, mentally, and everything else. He should be the dominant one in the house. I'm not gonna pick a wife who's dominant over me.
She gonna eat this cake. Anime, you gonna eat this cake.
Because he's stronger.
I say, anime, you gonna eat this cake.
He should be in all aspects. The woman that he chooses should know that he's the smartest one, or the one that can make the best decisions, and put him up against any man out
Mike
there.
Tyson for president, UFC. Oh, we should vote. All UFC become president.
Why you bring up Mike Tyson?
Right? Well, he said it because he's stronger because he's stronger and tougher than maybe.
They should be all the governors.
Is Mike Tyson stronger mentally?
This is what you're saying. Look at what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. It got to be in all aspects, not just muscles, not just muscles.
What if the woman's
No, but Mike Tyson would be good for the army.
Men are mentally stronger than women? That's what you're arguing, basically.
As a man, I wouldn't pick a woman who's mentally stronger than me. Why?
Oh, okay,
why would I pick a woman to lead me? You think a man goes out there to pick a woman to lead him?
So you don't pick anyone that's compatible. You pick somebody that's subordinate.
No, I don't pick nobody that can lead me. Why would I pick a woman to lead?
Just because a woman's
smarter than you. That's what subordinate means.
What's the logic of that?
You woman, I want you to. I pick you because so you can tell me what direction this house going to go. No, I got to pick a woman who looks at me as a leader to say, okay, you are smart enough and you are strong enough to lead this household. She comes to me and she it's not dumber.
You want to have your children by somebody that's dumber than you.
That's like saying on this panel, who's the dumbest one?
No, not the.
It don't work like that. My point made. It don't work like that. No, it ain't nobody the dumber one.
Okay, well, I'll wait until you finish because I want to come.
I'm just saying
what Brother Floyd's saying. Brother Floyd, how long have you been married, brother?
26 years.
29 years for me. You know what I'm saying? And.
My wife is not weak. My wife is not dumb. She's not weak. She's not dumb. I strive to be the strongest every day. I wake up. How can I be the one that she can look to when it comes down to it? She got to give to me.
My household is without question. It's without question. It's not. We ain't
6'5", 235. 6'5", 235.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out. You know what I mean? We know what it is. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't got like that, I'm sorry.
I feel like
I hear what he's saying though. What Student X is saying, I know that. Go ahead.
So look at what you're saying. You're saying I choose a woman that's intellectually inferior to me. So
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said at all.
I choose a woman who can look to me to lead. I'm not going to submit to his leadership. If a woman look at me and think that she's smarter than me, I'm not going to be with her.
Yeah, you don't want a partner. You want to follow you.
There's nothing wrong with what he got. If that's what he wants, that's what he wants. Nothing wrong with that.
Go ahead, Elpo. What you say? I'm here, Elpo.
He wants to answer your question.
Obviously,
I'm just asking a question.
Let Elpo speak. I'm trying to hear Elpo.
This man's been married for 26 years. So obviously, you know what he wants. You know what he has.
It's not true. Marriage, the length of marriages were longer before the 1950s. Women were very unhappy. They just couldn't get independence. The length of the marriage doesn't mean anything.
But today it means something.
It's easy to walk away. It's easy to walk away. How you gonna say that though?
On another sister, you know
but you make it seem like. Hold on. Can I say one more thing?
I'm gonna put myself on mute.
Let nice guy speak.
Check out how to. Mr. Floyd X has a great marriage, period. Okay, so but we're just saying that the fact that you have 26, your great marriage is not necessarily testament to the other marriages. Is you have an individual great accomplishment. I'm just saying that your situation doesn't necessarily lend itself to other situations. Infamous, you were about to say something. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was getting ready to say, damn, I almost forgot what I was getting ready to say, but I was saying, damn, I didn't. I lost my point. I'm good.
So what I was trying to say was, it's not about 26 years that automatically puts me in a category, but it does give credence. If you stick with somebody for 26 years, it's a testament to you and a testament to her that somebody could tolerate you for that long, and that you must be doing something right.
Yeah, but some people.
And one more thing I was getting ready to say.
Let
Okay, I
Elpo go.
remember what I was getting ready to say now. And I'm pretty sure you making it seem like this man cannot come to his wife and they can actually discuss things. You know what I'm saying? You just making it seem like he's just making all the decisions all the time. She just going with whatever.
He said at the Afro-agnostics. That was my point.
He's trying to make it sound like he's
trying
to make it sound like you just making all the decisions all day, every day, and she ain't got no say in it.
Like that.
I understand. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe it's through the next house, but not my house.
That's what I'm saying. It's a compromise. Obviously, you got some type of compromise or some type of way of
Are you muting yourself, Afro-agnostics?
Yeah, I'm muting myself, man, because y'all keep muting me every time I talk. So when it's my turn to talk, I'll take myself off mute.
Okay, yeah, but what I'm saying, Afro, is, bro, I mean, you can't just say just because the man is the strongest in the house, in a certain way that he doesn't. Or his wife submits at times. He doesn't submit. I'm pretty sure he compromises and submits, and after they go with what she said.
Let me ask Brother Agnostic a question. Brother, do you think that every man should strive to be the strongest and the smartest and the leader?
Can I actually talk and respond? Like, for real?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm definitely curious.
I think every human should try to be,
I'm talking about the man, not human. I'm saying man.
I think he's still making an example.
Stick to the question.
No, he is asking the question. Let's not interrupt. Let's not interrupt.
Because part of the answer is that I would apply that to women too. Yeah, we should try to be our strongest when the situation calls. Sometimes situations don't call for strength; they call for to not demonstrate strength. So, I mean, I think we come into it with these static, fixed things, and that's the problem with the patriarchy. Is that at the end of the day, if you're compromising, if you're making collective decisions, if there's, and there's a partnership, just call it a partnership. When you have a partnership with another person, be it business or non-business relationship, you don't come in it with, I'm the leader. You should look at me. You should be the follower. I'm not trying to find anyone who's my intellectual equal. I want someone who's subordinate to me, because ultimately the younger you get someone, the more they're going to be subordinate to you. And it kind of unleashes that type of logic. But there's no need to approach the situation with the hierarchical thinking. That's all I'm saying. Just come in. We're a partnership. Why do I got to say I'm the boss and all that when even behind closed doors in actuality you're not?
But who's saying that? You know what I mean? Who's coming in saying like, look, I'm the boss as a man?
Soldier boy, you.
No, bro. The way I came in was when I found. I was going to describe a simple methodology, bro. And the methodology was you're interacting with females, and my thing was I came into mind was like, look, I'm evaluating loyalty above a lot of different, traits, what I mean, and characteristics and whatnot. So you find what is, relevant, impactful to you, what you're looking for in a woman, and then you find that, you interact with her, and then ultimately when it comes down to getting married, it was like, look, I have a way that, there's some things I want to accomplish, and I'm looking for someone to help me accomplish those objectives. Do you want to come along for the ride? You know what I'm saying?
Like you study properly selecting a mate. Like they don't teach that at school, but it's a way to properly select your mate.
Afro-agnostics. I think that we understand that you don't subscribe to the notion of an established sort of like hierarchy out the gate based on sex, and clearly most of the other people on the panel kind of do. So I'm just saying that it's really nothing to argue out or debate, because they just fundamentally of this position. I think that they make compelling arguments about some things, and I think you make compelling arguments about the flip side of it. But I will say that me as a person, I'm still telling you that I don't believe in any 50-50 partnerships. Mm-hmm. Somebody has to be, you know what I'm saying? If you have an odd number partnership, and you vote, then it can work. But you can't have a 50-50 partnership. You should agree, you guys should debate, you should whatever and stuff like that. It's just that when someone has to be able to make the call. And I don't think that should necessarily always be the man. I think there are situations where that absolutely should be the women in certain family situations.
Let me pose a question. This is to everybody. As a man, let's say you got two male friends, then you want to go into business with them. The first one you talk to, you be like, hey man, I want to do this. And he be like, cool, I'm with it. And my wife going to be with it. She going to want to put up our money. We good. We going to put up our money. And then you talk to the other one. That sounds good, but let me talk to my wife and see if she's okay with it. Which man would you, as a man, want to deal with?
Okay, so I'll answer that question first. The person that's talking to his wife. Go ahead.
Why?
Agnostic.
Why? Explain why.
Because again, if I wouldn't expect if a woman just basically goes with anything that this man says, that chances are that he's gonna make some dumbass decisions or whatever. I'm just saying, if you don't actually really, I'm just saying that because human beings are stupid, just generally. Listen, you asked me the question. I'm telling you that human beings are generally stupid. It's a fucking miracle that human beings have survived as long as they have. Because when you see how people run their individual households, everybody does things that you would look at and go, that's fucking crazy. But they do it and they survive, and you go, hey, that's not my business. You let them do this. But I'm just telling you, a person that doesn't pull all the intelligent minds in the household to make a decision, to me, that's a person that can think outside of a concept of just
who's arguing not to do that? Who's arguing not to do that? And who argues the patriarchy doesn't do that? The patriarchy absolutely does that, and especially in this.
He says someone who makes a decision without checking in, without just running it back with somebody.
So you're talking about, when he's dealing with you, if he decides that this gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
And he's saying that I'm going to happen. My wife's just going to be on board. I'm just going to use the family finances. You telling me. And my point is that the person that's making this analysis, this could be the same person that's falling for a prince in Nigeria. This is the same person that's falling for getting emails, the answering emails and typing in his logins and stuff like that. I'm just saying that a person that if you're first of all, you should choose a mate that intellectually challenges you. I would say that. This is what I'm saying. You should choose someone who can literally bring something to the analysis that you didn't bring to the analysis that makes you go.
She does that.
Yeah, but I'm saying she does that. But a person who just makes this decision without because you just said this person makes this decision without even consulting a person that has perspective more than just one person's perspective.
So it's not a testimony to you that she already falls in line because she trusts him that much that he can make those decisions on his own. He don't need me to step in.
Yeah, because I don't trust anybody. I don't trust any of y'all that way. I don't trust any human being.
You just said that you
I don't trust that.
Slow down, nice guy. Slow down. Wait. Slow down, nice guy. Slow down. Hold on, Apple. Let me make my point. Nice guy. You're saying you don't trust nobody who don't consult nobody. Now you're saying you don't trust anybody. You got to slow down.
I don't. No, listen, because I don't. But I'm saying that a person who consults with somebody, I think that they're more credible. I don't trust anybody, but I give more trust to. I give more semblance to what you call trust to a person that seeks consult. It doesn't even have to be about a husband or wife. It's just to be about two people versus one person.
The consultation already took place. Go ahead, brother Afro.
That's different.
So, come on, you got to.
Okay, I'm gonna start off this way with a story, man, because I want to say that I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying in a lot of different ways. Like, for instance, one day I was working at a school. This is a private parochial school in East Oakland, and my wife at that time was working there, and the husband of one of the coworkers wanted me to give him a ride home after work, and I was like, dang, because I had to go to Traders at that time, which was open in San Alejandro, and pick up my all black Benelli Nova 12 gauge shotgun. You know, I don't like people all in my business. So I was like, dang, man, I got to make this stop and go get the whoop, whoop, whoop. And then he was like, dang, your wife let you do that? My wife, she wouldn't let me get a gun. And I almost wanted to hit the brakes, man, like jump out my car. Like, just jump out my car and walk home. But
that's crazy.
That's because I've like you said, I've selected people that are compatible with my values. I'm not going to get with someone who isn't for guns and stuff like that. So I think that's what it's about. But at the end of the day, I think you're trying to justify different ways that you shouldn't act as a partnership. Sometimes
all I'm saying is what you just said. Because what you just said is of the line of it's all about intellectual decisions. You talking to a man who can't get a gun because his wife don't want him to have a gun. That means to me, I would be like, this is a dumb motherfucker right here in my head. And
yeah, I wouldn't care for that.
That's what I'm saying. So it's
that's
about
different. That's different. You said like a business proposal. You said a business proposal. I believe that was what you proposed to me. And I'm just saying that a business proposal should be analyzed like intellectually, because you can come up with a business concept, but there's a reason why most businesses fail. So I'm just saying that a person that uses two heads versus one, I'm going to respect that more than just one.
Okay. So all things being equal, if this man who has his wife and he say, "Oh yeah, she gonna ride with me," because she already knows he shouldn't have to say it. She already know I make good decisions. So if I decide this gonna happen, she's on board already. I don't gotta say, "Let me go home and talk to my wife."
No, but I think the more sometimes knows this. I was a part of a paramilitary group. One thing we always did, as far as like some of the rules with the weaponry, is that like when you have something in the slide, you show it, you check it, but you also get someone else to verify it, because you can never just go by your own.
I get it. That's different to me. I get what you're saying though. That's
So I mean, to me, your wife, whoever else you can get to double check. Please look at it again. What do you think? I want to get your opinion because I respect.
I don't always make the best.
Yeah, we don't make the best decisions.
I'm just saying, me personally, I don't always make the best decisions. That's why I value me talking to student X versus me just making a decision. Me consulting with student X or me consulting with Alpha X, even me consulting with Walk. I would give that more credibility than just me making a decision on my own. And that's why I'm just saying, a person making a decision for another adult, that doesn't make me feel more comfortable about a person that's consulting.
I don't understand why because you're trying to justify a hierarchy as opposed to a partnership. And you started off talking about 50-50. And on some decisions, you're going to make the call. So no one is in here calculating with a calculator, or that you made this decisions. I'm just saying people make whatever decisions that sometimes, hey, that's you handle that, please. You handle that, you take control. There is still
delegating. That's delegating, but you still have power, right?
You're coming together as equals.
Where does the buck stop at 50-50?
That's where the 50-50
Where does the buck stop at 50-50?
I'm saying they just use it as a mathematical frame, but it's really saying equal decision-making power. We are a partnership.
Where does the buck stop?
You said what?
Where does the buck stop at 50-50?
Where does the buck end?
What if they disagree? Who's the tiebreaker?
Who say, "Oh, damn"? Who's the one to say, "Nope, we got to do this"?
Because sometimes you're not going to agree. Sometimes you're not going to agree. So who's the tiebreaker?
That's why divorces happen in different separations. I mean, I think people have to. Part of being in a partnership is that you have to compromise. You have to compromise. Men have to compromise. Women have to compromise.
Okay, so you take turns compromising.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just this
partnership.
This whole thing, when you're talking about marriage, it is by definition a partnership. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So I understand. The confusion. I think at the end of the day, people just
because you're saying hierarchy and partnership are
let him make his point. After he was about to make his point,
he said he didn't understand why. I'm telling
you. I'm glad he's clarifying.
Let him flesh it out. Let him flesh it out. Let him flesh it out. Student, go ahead.
No,
Afro. I want him to explain what he was.
Just one sentence. I was saying when hierarchy and partnership are incongruent.
I don't think so at all. Not at all.
Have you ever heard of limited partnership?
I mean, as a businessman, I enter into partnerships, all the time, and we define these things.
Are you a partner with your boss
so that there's no confusion?
No.
Are you a partner with Dame Dash?
No.
Are you the boss?
Yeah, but I wouldn't partner with him. Yeah, I'm saying.
A partnership is different from some hierarchy where you have a boss, one person giving orders and another person following the orders, one person making decisions. That's not a that's a hierarchy.
That's semantic.
It's just semantics, bro.
That's semantical if one
Awesome.
partner has more power than another. I mean, that's just like having shares. You know, some person has, like with the Lakers and stuff like that. You have someone who's a majority shareholder.
That's what you're arguing for. Men have
shareholder.
more power.
I mean, if it works, what does it matter what you call it?
Ooh.
Slavery work.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, there you go. There you go with that
Slavery work. Slavery work for white people.
Slavery work for everybody.
Yeah, slavery work for
It
white
worked for
people.
those in power.
And I would say that
talking about what works for the family.
We're talking about a relationship.
We say what works for the family and relationships.
Yeah, that's why.
But then the question is, does it really work? I think that's the argument.
I mean, if it does work, but if it is
that's the
working,
people who've been married for 25 plus years.
Right.
That's the people that have been in terrible marriages for 30
That's
years.
the people who've been married for 25 plus years, and everybody, both parties are happy.
That's exactly. You have them, but they're the exception. Do you think they're the norm or the exception?
Beyond the ideology, everything you described was a partnership.
Yeah,
I mean, but that's what it is.
It is what it is.
That's not a
agnostic. After agnostics, I think that I think that words matter. So I'm the person that really don't like to fend something off the semantics. But I hear what I hear from Mr. Floyd X, and what I hear from Mr. Student X, and what I hear from El Poo. I still hear what they're talking about is a partnership, but it's not necessarily an equal partnership to the extent that someone
49.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm hearing, and I'm just telling you. I'm telling you that partnerships in business, 50-50 partnerships with two people don't work. I'm just saying that, you know, those we can hash out the statistics and go look it up. I agree with you. Let's go do that.
Like 49-51 work. You act like 49-51 proven work and 50-50 don't.
It works better. It proves it works better.
No one.
I'm not talking about 70-30.
Equality. We're just using the number as a frame to imply equality. No one is in here measuring
when soldiers are out there on the field
capacities or the decision making of both parties are making. We're just saying they're equal. They're both adults. They both have brains. They both make decisions.
But your concept, what you're calling, but you're equal. It's just a label. It's not necessarily a true proportion. It's just basically a label. It's a label of respect. To me, it's a woke label. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. I think that's a great effort. But you know,
you out.
Yeah. Last thing I want to say on this is just real quick, and I gotta go, brothers. And this has always been fun. Is that, brothers, if you're in a dialogue with a female and you guys are trying to figure out if you guys want to come together, and she give me this much damn pushback on this subject, man, move on. Yep. Move on. You know what I mean? Because it ain't gonna work.
Move on to a different female or move on to
different. It's not that hard. It's not this hard.
Are you saying
it's hard for me? You know,
I want to say real quick.
Are you saying move on to a different relationship or move on to
I'm saying exit stage left. Yes.
I agree.
And find you someone that's intellectually inferior that will follow you with loyalty.
Find someone who ain't crazy as hell. You know what I'm saying?
The better.
Nobody said, my wife is a year older than me. My wife is older than me.
You have testicles.
But hey,
she ain't got no testicles.
Afro, I got a question for you. So, if you have the option to get with a woman, you got the option of everything equal. You got the option of a 50-50 relationship or 51-49. Which one you taking?
Man, I believe in equality and justice, man. I believe in equality. That's a principle of mine. So it's important, 50-50.
And you're going to take the 50-50 over the 51. Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
Hey, let me see. Let me test this out. What does this say right here?
This is just some nigga talking shit. This is just some nigga talking shit. And everybody's caught up in all that shit.
Obviously, you haven't read Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal book now.
I know next you want to go back to the Color Purple days, you know, with Mister and everything. Those are the glory days. That's when the family was real strong. They really stayed together much longer.
Yeah, in Student X's defense, and I know he's got to go. I mean, I see him. I see he's basically
29 years going on 30, you know what I mean? Grandchildren.
The bottom line is, but Student X, I got a question.
She's happy. She ain't oppressed. and she ain't in the color purple.
That's the poetic side. He's got to go. So let me just get this to the next. If you think that something should be done, and your wife makes a greater argument that something else should be done, would you defer to her?
I always submit to the highest truth. You know what I mean? Always. You know,
see, and that's my point.
That's called partnership. That's called partnership.
I've been saying that that's what a real marriage is. It's a partnership.
As long as it works, matters.
Next, you have said that there should be one vote, one household. The man making a vote for the family. You talked about hierarchy. You said it just off the. There's a hierarchy. A hierarchy is when there's a rank.
I'm not going back to that.
But he also said you're saying what he's saying, but he's already telling. He's always telling you. But that's not inconsistent.
I know
that's not inconsistent, right? That's not inconsistent. Marriage. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that you said that he said that, but he's also said that he's willing to listen to her, and she can actually change his position with logic. So I'm just saying that she has input. She's not just a child.
I would like to see that reflected in the ideology that he spews. He's saying one thing, an ideological thing in terms of patriarchy, but in actual practice, you're not actually doing that because
we don't accept your definition of partnership.
Just real quick, that would have worked in the early 20th century, but now that women have some level of independence, they can get credit cards now, they can get a home on their own, that shit don't work. So I'm saying that shit is old and it's antiquated. So why come in with that ideology? Why not come in with the ideology of partnership?
I don't think it's all antiquated at all. I think the most successful families that are out there are
you find a woman that's
maybe between a man and a woman, you know what I mean, working together, you know, and usually in those situations, you know, in that partnership, that's usually a positive. You know what I mean? Of course, you can always find negatives. You know what I mean? You got crazy and ignorant people everywhere. You know what I mean? But in general practice, you know, is the best practice. You know, so in my humble opinion,
what?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What you said? In comparison to not having that as a single parent household, you know what I mean? You know, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm saying the partnership, yes, probably better a lot of times, or more instances than not, than a single parent household. But that double parent household can take many forms. It can be two men, two women. It can be a variety of different forms.
Yeah, and I'm saying the male-female component is better than all of the rest of the ones you're talking about.
And that's his opinion. That shouldn't be debated. That shouldn't be debated. That's
any measurement that we can look at for most part.
That's just his position based on the cultural dynamic.
Only natural.
I disagree.
Yeah, that's not a rational. That's not a.
We can do it on deconstruction because we can. Yeah. I'm saying we will have to look at how different families within the Black community and what are the outcomes of those families and different metrics that we use.
And they've all conceded there are scenarios where
but that'd be a subject within itself right there, you know what I'm saying? Because personally, if you want to look at it from that macro level, I mean, yeah, it might be better for some, you know, maybe for a child to be raised in a gay relationship, you know, or household, whatever the case is.
Or not even just in a nuclear family. You know what I'm saying? The concept that I have is so rigid and static. You know, man, woman, picket fence. This is the American dream. This has been sold to y'all. You're looking at it in a certain framework.
And you are completely.
Yeah, I mean, what other framework should I look at it in? I mean, I don't know what you're saying.
Well, just because,
I just said it may be in instances where that might be a safer place than, you know, maybe a traditional.
House. Oh, absolutely,
you know
absolutely.
They're
loving relationships.
I don't see anything else I can give. I mean, other than that, I mean, what? You know, but I'm just saying I would prefer. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think that should be a normal thing. Just like I don't think it's a normal thing for people to have dysfunctional families either.
Yeah, and I don't think that like the patriarchal nuclear family structure should be considered the best or the norm. I think families come in a variety of forms. And we know in pre-colonial Africa, indigenous lands here, the households were extended households, not just two-family households. Households.
But what did it start with?
If it's a polygamist in the house, I mean, if they live like that, you know,
this was actually intergenerational.
That's what you're gonna do. You around butt naked, you know what I'm saying?
I got two wives.
That's cool. I'm giving suit and booty. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here.
All right, brother. Have a good weekend, student.
All right, brother.
I think you were talking about village dynamics, but still, yeah, look.
Remember, somebody you had extended families. You didn't have one. It was intergenerational. Grandma in the house, nephew, uncles.
Right.
Family comes in a variety of different forms, but when we think about it in terms of patriarchy, we only think of one form.
And the reality is, whatever works best independent of those factors. And I'm just saying that you got to understand the reason why they tend to think that it's a cultural dynamic. So you got to understand there's certain things you're just not going to be able to talk someone into because you're not going to be around.
What I'm trying to say is things like this. You got to work with what you got. You know what I'm saying? If you got your grandma and stuff like that in the house, I mean, that changed the dynamics in a sense. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have that, if it's just a man and a woman and the kids, somebody got to take the lead. When it's necessary. I mean, it's just called being.
I will never argue against someone has to take the lead. I'm just telling you, you can't 50-50.
I wouldn't argue against that either.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, damn, that's really the whole thing we've been talking about. So that has been said. Like, share, subscribe.
I felt Floyd and others were just doing just that, arguing against that. That's what I was.
Yeah, but I think that once we dug deep, we saw that there was more give. They did sound a little bit more rigid at the beginning of the discussion. I think you're 100% right about that. But the bottom line is they've shown that, and I've always said that you can have power, but just because you have power, that doesn't mean you have to put a heavy hand on it every time. You know what I'm saying? A great leader will know when to defer and when to whatever and stuff like that. It's not always about giving instruction and them following.
Yeah, it's unlike the leader that we have, the president of the United States, because he likes to do stuff like this. Excuse me, can you get that Bennett part off?
Hold on.
Hold on.
Also, why is there this need to be a leader? To be the leader in the household.
I'm trying
to. If you're a soldier on the field, if you're a soldier, just think about it. If you're a soldier on the field and you got to make tough decisions, you guys can't be sitting there negotiating. You have to have a structure where Captain America is calling out the Avengers.
We're not soldiers on the field. We're in the house.
It's an analogy. I'm just saying that there comes a point.
Man. Like, you can't take a situation off the army field where people are actually dying and killing and then apply that to household decisions because of someone has to make a decision singularly there.
Hey, joint accounts. I don't recommend that married people have joint accounts. I think that the individual, the woman have your woman account, man have your man account. If you need to send money, zell it back and forth. But the bottom line is you need absolute control of your bank account. It's dangerous to have someone making decisions that you don't know that are going on that might impact you guys. Basically write a check and now both of these things bounce or whatever. I'm just saying that there's something to be said about control. So I agree. I wouldn't want my spouse to be a child. I think that's ridiculous. I'm going to treat them like an equal, but I don't even believe in equality. You know what I'm saying? I just believe that you treat people like they're equal, but they're not equal. Because someone's stronger than the other person, someone's smarter than the other person, someone's faster than the other person, someone's prettier than the other person. Equality is a myth.
The equality applies to decision making.
And again, I think that someone has to run the corporation. And if it's the woman, if the woman is better suited to do that in that situation, no. See, a leader has to know that I'm not the person. Now you're talking about something that I'm not an expert in, so I have to defer to you. I'm giving you the power to rule on this decision because you have a much superior power.
You have it. You gave it to
and
them.
That's the nature of the 51 over the 49 is that you're delegating, you're giving the power. Because I'm just saying that you got, and even and the reality is,
hold on. Pause. She has to wait for you to give it to her, right?
I mean, she can exert it, but you have to concede it. I mean, it's just like if you have 50-50, someone still has to concede. If you don't agree and you're 50-50, someone has to concede the power. Whether it's the person who had it in the beginning or the person who never had it. If it's 50-50 and you guys cannot agree on something, in order to make a decision, someone has to concede.
Dispense that 1% of power at your leisure when you feel like it.
I'm gonna take this 1%. I'm gonna get up out of here, y'all. I'm out.
Your testicles hang very long.
So yeah, so that happened. I'm just saying it. Yeah, that's the reality. I'm just saying that, you know, and again, you should never enter into a business structure or a hierarchy that you don't agree with. And I just know that there are a lot of people that agree with some of these hierarchies, and they actually expect it. There are certain situations where there are women out there that will look down at a man who doesn't take control in certain circumstances. You know what I'm saying? Like my woman, it would a lot of people would consider my wife alpha male type, you know what I'm saying, the bottom line. But my wife would look down on me if I didn't challenge her, if I didn't take control in control situations. So I'm just saying that, you know, it's a function of the circumstances.
She should look down at you. She should look up at you because you're at the top. You got that 1%.
Well, see, that's the thing about it. It's you know, it's not about looking up or looking down, but I get what you're saying. It's like I said, it's a label. I know, and I agree. I agree with you. It's a little ugly, but you know that's at the end of it. And you know what? My wife is texting me right now. Let me see.
I gotta go too, man.
Oh, ouch. Well, that's some
I
bad
got a
news.
little situation in the family, man. But okay.
All right, brother. You take care. All right. So like, share, subscribe. Peace out.
All right.